Hello and welcome to the HeartWorking Dad podcast. I'm your host, Gabriel Perez, and this is the podcast for Christian fathers looking to do the heart work in themselves so they can transform their family life. I'm your host, Gabriel Perez. I think we already know each other good enough. I think I could bypass the whole introduction and all that, because I just really want to get into this episode of what the topic is, and it's about spiritual warfare, discerning the enemy's voice. I can't tell you, this is pretty relevant for me in this moment, because if you follow me on Instagram, I actually just fully announced that I'm a dad coach. And a year ago, a little over a year, I started this journey of being a dad coach. First, it was actually going to be a biblical parenting coach, but I didn't want to be like this format that they had. I was taking a coaching course. It was DMing people. It was messaging people. And I really don't want to do that. And I really don't want to message a lot of women, because I found early on that most people who are looking for parenting help are women. It's not the dads. And so I was just like, that's going to be awkward. It's not really going to work. I don't want to do that. So I shifted to a dad coach who also teaches the biblical parenting method, because also I do have a heart for fathers, because I've struggled heavily as a dad, and just trying to find my role, trying to fit in my role as a spiritual leader, a homeschool dad, a teacher, a provider, a protector, all these things that come with being a father. I really struggled with, actually. I was really unstable come my third kid. I just didn't know what I was doing, to be honest. And I knew I needed help. And I found help. I found guidance. And most of all, I found guidance through God. He fathered me. He opened up my heart. It was quite a journey. And I got to say, a lot of the opening came from reading John Eldredge books, Wild at Heart, and Becoming King, and just reading a lot of books that have opened up my eyes to Christianity and outside of religion, and more of this relationship with God. And so it's funny, because the HeartWorking Dad parenting method, biblical HeartWork parenting method that I was certified in, also lined up with the heart work I was doing in my faith and walking with Jesus. And it just married together, that it just worked. So I find myself here now. And saying I'm a dad coach is always kind of cringy for me, because parenting is so real. Parenting is so every day. One day you're great. 1 minute you're great. And then the next minute you're not. You lose your cool. You lose your patience. You check out for a moment. And, it's just, and then the guilt comes in. And this is where I really want to talk about, is that spiritual warfare. I've been in it long enough. I've seen it. Today, I am just coming out from it. It's funny, because shortly after I announced that video, I did that video. I got some good feedback, and a brother of mine just said the next day, he said, I just want to encourage you. He's like, I want to congratulate you, and because I'm proud of you, because you're stepping out into what you've been called to do. And so I just want to encourage you, because it's going to be hard. There are going to be times you want to quit. I want you to stay this course, because you are called to be here. And that's a whole nother story, a whole nother podcast. But, I was thankful for the message. I was encouraged. I didn't expect to get attacked so quickly, but the next morning, there it is. And it starts so simply. It's just like, oh, you don't want to post that video. Who do you think you are? No one's going to want to hear this. And then they start whispering all these other things. Like it's accusations. There's these accusations. There's these just angry thoughts about who you are your situation. It's not, and it's just questioning everything. Accusations and questioning. And it's so important that we as fathers are aware of that, because I believe wholeheartedly that there is an attack on men. There is an attack on fathers, because there is a real need for heartworking dads. Not like just the HeartWorking Dad that is my logo, but I mean guys who are walking with Jesus, working on their hearts, addressing their wounds, leading their family intentionally. Doesn't mean we're perfect, doesn't mean we do everything right, but intentionally. We're trying to bring our kids up right, to live in this world, to be lights. There is a need for that. And if you look in the world around us, I would say that need hasn't been met. There's a lot of unfinished men out there who, John Eldredge would call it, unfinished boys. Many times I consider myself one of those. And we need to be steadfast in this journey. And you know, it's not a night or day thing. It's literally a journey. And Morgan Snyder in Becoming King says, give yourself 10 years to walk to the Father, and consent to 10 years. And I'm like, 10 years. That is a long time. Maybe like 2 years I'll be good. Maybe a year. You know, it's been 2 years since I've read that book, and I see now that it's gonna be. It could easily be 20 years at this point. Like, it doesn't seem like there's a finish line, and it doesn't seem like I'm getting anywhere. But that's not truth. That's not fact, because God is faithful. And when I look back, you can see how he's faithful. You can see that what he's done in our family. And it's like that song, Goodness of God. All my life, you've been so faithful. So some things I want to highlight that are indicators of the voice of the enemy is there's accusation. Always look for accusation. Bitterness, jealousy, anger. When you feel all these feelings coming up, it's not fair. It's not okay. Why does this person get this? Why is it not working? I'm not good at this. I've got nowhere to go. You know, any kind of that vein of thought, that's the enemy. He's trying to isolate you from who God says you are, who you are in his eyes. And it's always that condemnation or conviction. You know, conviction is from the Lord, and it convicts our heart. It causes us to want to change. Condemnation just loads you with shame and guilt and just wears down on you. And you're not wanting to change out of the right motive. You're wanting to change because you feel shame, because you feel guilt, and sometimes you don't even want to change. You're just stuck in this place, in this little prison. So always know where the conviction is and where the condemnation is. You can classify that. Is this thought conviction or condemnation? It's a very easy thing to do, but such a hard thing to do in those moments. And even when you recognize it, it doesn't even mean that goes away, that battle's done and fought, and you've seen the voice, you know what the voice is. Now you're good. Now you move on. It's there. And it's a hard battle. And so dealing with that today, it's like you're kind of stuck. You just can't get out of it, which I was for some moments. And funny thing is, I watched, it's not funny because I watched on Apple TV, The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. It's a little 30-minute thing. It was actually a book, a really encouraging book. And it's like one of those books, like the reader wrote it so that when you open a page, it can be relevant to you at any point in the book. You know, it's not just this read through it. And we had actually been given that book by our aunt, and it was our favorite book, she said. And we didn't get to read it, but then I saw all these shorts on Instagram, and I was like, man, this is powerful. This is great. And so I watched it today. I was feeling that. And I was like, I need something like this. And one of the things the horse said is, if you find yourself down, horrible at quoting exactly what it is, so I'm paraphrasing. If you find yourself down, go be with the people who love you. In a box, in a nutshell. Remember, there are people that love you. And for me, I was just, kind of reminded, like, there's all this pressure, there's all these accusations on me. Remember, there are people right here that love you. And it took me a while because I was still kind of sitting through it. And my son said, hey, Dad, do you want to film a video with me? And And to be honest, I wasn't feeling like it, but I was like, this is what I need to do, I think. Because being with the people that love me, that I love. So we filmed this plush tubing video. And as we got kind of more into it, we're doing this little chasing scene with like, he wanted to recreate the Indiana Jones scene. And I'm chasing him with this ball and I'm on my knees. And on my knee, I step on this pencil. And I was like running pretty fast on my knees. And it was the worst pain ever. And I scream and I'm just like, oh God, Lord Jesus, like my knee. And, I fall down and the recording captured all of this. And we just start all laughing. And, we just break out laughing. And it's like, we watched the clip like 10 times now. It's super funny. But I started laughing. And I was reminded of the people I love, the people that love me. And this is the moments. This is what pulls you out of the funk, pulls you out of the darkness. And so here I am recording a podcast. Here I am because the last thing I wanted to do was record a podcast. The last thing I wanted to do is try to speak truth in the men because I myself am struggling with truth from God. But it worked. I'm here. So my encouragement is remember you're loved. Your presence is important. You matter. And my challenge is when you are struggling and when you know it is the voice of the enemy that is accusing you, that is guilting you, that is shaming you, turn to the ones that love you and be with them. Take the time to be with them and enjoy them. It'll bring you out. So I've already gone over. I'm 12 minutes in. Thank you guys for listening. I hope this encourages you and challenges you in the heart work that you are doing in yourself for your family. We'll talk soon.